So, while we're getting started, let me tell you a little bit about today's topic. We're going to be talking about emotions, energies, and beliefs and the real connection between all three. We're talking about how these different aspects are shaping each other, how they influence each other, and how that shows up in your daily life. Today's topic is emotions, energy, and beliefs, and what the real connection is between those things. So, with that, I will hand over the floor to Josh and Raina. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, good evening for some. It's very early morning for us here in Hawaii. But thank you, Sanaya. We appreciate you. It's great to see you and all the other people that are on. This is going to be a great subject. Before we begin anything, may we scan you? Where it says walk up to the creator ball it is. Everybody close your eyes and gather the energy from the bottoms of your feet. Go through your space and see yourself in a beautiful ball of light. Be any color, but take it up through the sky and the universe. A series of white lights, dark lights, and golden light, all the way up through that jelly-like substance and into that tingly white. Then I can fill every cell of your body, all the way down to your toes. Into there, take a deep breath in and open your eyes. Right?
I'm awake. I
Are
think
you?
I'm awake. I think I'm
Sure
awake.
what we're talking about?
Emotions and energetic connection to them, right?
Emotions, energy, beliefs, and the connection.
Uh-huh. Well, we could talk about beliefs first because it's all about that underlining things that go on in the background, those things that really are subconscious understandings of really it's almost like that source code that runs underneath the behind the scenes that goes, hey, these are the things that we have going on, and they come up through your emotions. When you have emotions and you're like, hey, I have this emotion that comes up, and it's like this is the thing that really shows you that this is what's going on underneath that everyday movement, everyday actions, everyday things that we have that are going on within ourselves, and say there may be things that align with this or things that don't align with this. And when those things align with your body and they recognize it, then you have these emotions that come up that are ones that are high vibrations when you like, but ones you don't, they kind of give you those emotions that not necessarily are ones that you like. You're like, well, I think I need to look a bit deeper into this. Obviously, you have things to say about that.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. We have grown up in a group consciousness where we kind of got rid of or moved uh, the cue that was going on to our subconscious, right?
Yes.
So emotions are such a deep topic. And as we discover more and more every day, right now we know that every human being experiences at least 450 emotions a day.
Whether they recognize that or not is totally different.
I personally believe, and I'm pretty sure that we're close to the same belief that we're experiencing even probably more than that,
Okay.
because our subconscious is letting us know the pressure of what's going on. It's letting us know what we're creating with. It's letting us know the lens of our experience, and then we're accessing information and we're creating it, right? And that's what beliefs really are. We move from one pressure, we respond, we're solving something. When we have that emotion, that connection, that lens, we're solving with the programs of our own selves from past times. We're solving with the programs of our own selves from all time and places,
From our
and
ancestor beliefs.
and looking for what's going on. And that's why the process of belief work is such an important process, but also learning how to do it correctly, digging and moving your way through it. Um, can be something that is a emotional successful moment, or it can be something that leaves somebody very unconnected to their own lens and feeling like they're just sort of looping or stuck in certain ways. And every day we try to move with different emotions. In fact, you're going to try to move somebody in your journey today with your own emotional lens. Okay, it's natural, it's understanding, it's part of being understood in your life. And you're going to try to convey what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what's going on around you, and your entire reality in that moment. And won't feel like you're trying to convey your entire reality. It'll feel like you're trying to convey just one thing. But that's the beauty of our energy, is that we're always communicating lots of things.
It's like a energetic vibrational feeling that you can send out, almost like a radiance that people can feel as they come into your vibe, and they can feel that those things. Let's say that all of a sudden you have an example of, I must prove myself to be loved. Well, all of a sudden, now that you have that feeling, the feeling of emotions might come up, of abandonment, anger, sadness, or they could have plenty of other type of emotions, but we're going to use these as an example. And your body gives you these energetic vibrations that allow you to feel the types of things that your emotions are sensing. So let's say that you have anger that comes up. You might have a tight chest, or you might have heaviness when you feel grief, or you might have, shoulders that are heavy when you have different types of emotions. These types of things can be felt energetically and on a vibration for all of us, not only for ourselves, but for other people that are around us, and can be influenced by those types of vibrations that are just coming off of our body signals alone.
I was 19 years old, and there was an immense amount of pressure in life. And the pressure, particularly from people around me at the time, was money, right? Money's a big pressure. We can all connect to that on a group conscious level. And it was make as much money as you could possibly make. And so there was this ad in the paper, and it basically said they'll guarantee you XYZ dollars a month, and you got to do this. So I show up, and the job is sales. Job is sales, and particularly this sales company. They do selling very expensive bags. Not a bad product, and a cool product if you can afford it. But the thing is everything in there was scripted, right? So they have this little script that you memorize, and they have this thing, and then you show up and then you practice performing. And the deal was, when they set you down, they said, look, you have to go on 30 sales calls a month, and then you're guaranteed this much money. If you make sales, you get extra commission. Everybody else is like, ooh, extra commission. I'm like, all right, I got to do 30 because I only want that much money. I don't care about the extra money. I'm only needing to have this taken care of. I'm not here to pressure people. I'm not here to sell things. It's not in my DNA. Okay. So my emotions feel that way. They're like, memorize this, do it like this. All right. Memorize the script, do it like that. It wasn't difficult. It was me being myself and sharing information I learned, just like we're talking right now. Then they sent me out to go do this job and show up to your first appointment. And what they told me was, everybody knows you're coming. Everybody knows that you're going to give them this information. They're expecting you. And that was not what everybody knew. Okay, they got told they were going to be given a free gift and they had to listen to something. That's all they were told. They were expecting 5 minutes. This little presentation was half-hour long, right? And part of it was getting them emotionally attached to how dangerous the dust mites in your house were. Dust mites of all things. And it was very emotionally based, right? So we get through this information, we get rolling through, and we connect to knowing what's going on. And at the end, you're done. You're like, do you want to buy it? They say no. We go make a phone call. You go make a phone call. They say, now go back in there and tell them we'll give them this off, give them that off. By the third time, their little thing, I just followed along and I wasn't very comfortable. They just their words, not even mine, just their words that I would repeat when I got off the phone, and I was even sad about it. Somebody bought the vacuum. And the person that bought the vacuum couldn't pay for the vacuum. They were going to pay something like $20 a month for like 12 years to own this vacuum, because that's all they could afford every month. Right? And I remember walking out the door. I walked out the door and I went and sat in the car, and I tried to process what had happened. what had just happened. What happened was a whole bunch of information made them feel like they were not doing a very good job of protecting their family. And that information created so much pressure that it became more important than the $20 that they would need for food or rent or something else. It became so important in their life immediately that they had to prevent it, that they had to give in and find a way to make sure it was taken care of, right? And that was all emotions. Everything about it was an emotional decision. Everything moved from the pressure of their lens. They had connected. So I went back and I asked why. And they told me, my grandma had this happen. It came from this. When they gave me this piece of information, it made me feel this way. And when they felt that way, they went through all the times and all the places. And we do that far beyond just our lifetime, right? In this experience right now, you're going through times and places that your energy has felt things that you've carried forward. And we know that out at UCLA, they started really diving into epigenetics and it's growing in different places around the world. We know we're taking memory from our ancestors. So when we walk into a room and we feel a pressure, an emotion, our cells go taking a look and we come up with, oh, where have we felt this before?
And of course, if we felt that before, then we use that same emotion or that same response every time until we recognize that that's not a response that we want to keep using. Because that's a loop that we just keep using over and over and over again.
Yeah, so in that moment, in that lens, I didn't mean to connect and create with that energy. I was just trying to accomplish my pressure, right? I was trying to connect to my moment and understand what was going on. But my moment affected other moments. And my energy, the way that it was being portrayed, what was going on, even though I didn't want it to have that effect, it was still having that effect in that particular instance because they still had their lens and their emotions. And belief work is about us understanding the balance of both, right? So these feelings, they lead to connections, and the belief work is knowing you're important and what you're bringing to the moment and knowing
That they're important also.
and what is they're going to react to from it, right? There's a responsibility that comes when you want to increase your connection to this universe. And that responsibility is knowing the value of you and that it creates, right? Break it all down. Go back to the very simplest thing. You're constantly a creative force on this journey. And you're responsible for that creation. And that overwhelms people, right? Because when we hear the word responsible, what do we think? We think we're at fault. Who's to blame? What's going to happen? When I hear all of that, what I hear is how do we set it up so that everybody knows and learns how to move forward? And even if they're creating a pressure that is going to have a giant effect on them, how do you lessen that pressure, right?
So you're looking how to solve it. Each time that we're solving something, we're usually using the same type of solving for every time that we solve something. We find a reason to do it a certain way. And we go, oh yeah, I've done this before. This is perfect. I know exactly how to use this. And even if it doesn't work in that sort of way, we continue to use that same method over and over and over again because it's worked time and time again. Even if it doesn't, you go, oh, well, maybe that time just didn't work. I'll figure a different way to move around it in a different pressure with this. And so you pick that same way again and it doesn't work. You're wondering why it doesn't work. So you go in this loop and you have these emotions that come up and show you these things. They give you these options that you can change them, but then the moments pass. Well, because you no longer feel that way anymore. And now you're moving on to the next pressure, the next pressure. All those moments that you're feeling that pressure and all the emotions that come up to give you those clues that you can change the beliefs that are underneath them happen every moment of every day. But it's a choice. Sometimes they're quiet, sometimes they're just emotions, and sometimes they get louder and louder and louder. And they allow you to recognize every moment that the choices that you're making from the last moment and the moment before that.
But when we feel those things and we know what's coming up, we have to start to ask ourselves some questions. What are we feeling? Sort through that lens so we know how that lens is connecting with other people. The more you know yourself, the more you genuinely understand why without judgment of yourself, the more you can genuinely understand why without judgment of others. And when you combine those two things in a situation, you find a way through that is of a higher vibration. It creates faster, it creates better, creates healthier. Okay, if you try to add an emotion and try to force something in your body knows it's not supposed to be there, right? If we're lying, if we're deceiving, if we're moving in a certain direction whatsoever, our body instantly knows. And we have always been taught consequence in action, right? That's what we're shown. But we are never shown the full consequence of not listening to our own energy until it builds up.
Until there are things that happen that show that you're no longer aligned with yourself, and all of your things that are going on within you are being taken care of outside, or you're outsourcing it. Maybe it's your emotions that are you can't tailor or you can't deal with, or maybe you need somebody else to make your decisions for you. Whatever it is, you've given away all of your power somewhere else. And you're no longer governing or sovereign with yourself, not recognizing the things that are going on, because it's just easier sometimes to pass it off and go, yep, it's okay, you can take care of it, because problem solving can be kind of challenging sometimes. And if it's the same type of problem solving that you've been doing that over and over and over again, and it's not working, then sometimes it's easier to have somebody else do it for you.
If you become and open up your own intuition and you start to use your abilities, you start to help people, and that you don't interact with them and you don't show them what's going on and you don't let them see their own lens, and you just are like, oh, I'm going to guide this, right? They never know what's going on. It doesn't feel like you're helping. Okay, it ends up feeling like something different, right? And a lot of parents, a lot of coaches, a lot of teachers around this world, that's where they get in trouble, is they're trying to be very, very helpful. They're trying to prevent what has happened to them, or they're trying to move in certain directions, or they're going, this is the pressure I've known, this is what's worked in the past. But what they don't see is what their exact emotion, what their exact program, what everything's going on in their cells is creating in that moment, right? First, it's creating that stuff's going to happen again. That's the exact same path, which isn't true. It doesn't have to happen the same way for another person.
Not for another person, but it does for the person that's actually experiencing it, if they don't change the things that they're actually experiencing all the time. If that experience comes up and it causes something negative and it's not something that you like, let's say, for instance, you feel alone and all of a sudden you feel anger and you don't understand why, that same thing's going to happen over and over again until you change the way that you respond. And the feelings that you have and the emotions that come up from the moments that you're triggered and the beliefs that come up and bubble up and go, hey, this is something that you may not like. Let's change it.
And if you don't, and you're not honest with yourself, with your body, or with things that are going on, that buildup starts to communicate in other ways. It starts to break down your entire system. Our body is a huge connection of energetic communication, right?
Yes.
Every system relying on the other system. And if you, this is very easy to illustrate. If you go and take the wire in your switch on your light in your house, right? And something happens to that wire and the light starts to flicker a little bit and it's not working the way that you want to, you're going to worry, right? You're going to go, oh, why is my light not working? Because you can see it. It's immediately impacting you. In our physical self, we can actually see all the ways these things are impacting us. And when that switch is off, and emotions are letting us know, this is the switch, this is the light over here that's going on. This is what's being worked on. This is what you're energetically connecting to in the moment. And this is how you're fixing it. We don't listen to any of that. On a group conscious level, what do?
We press it aside. We suppress the emotion. We just kind of put blinders on. We're like, let's just throw on some, sunglasses and pretend like that light's just too bright for us anyway. It's fine.
And we get very reactive instead of very proactive in our own journeys in life, right? We don't move to our own self and understand how we connect. We wait for the world to tell us what we should do. And then we start to create more energetic problems because you're in your own connection of yourself in this world and you're not finding it, you're not living it, you're not even being a part of it. And then we start looking around and moving to these pressures and things build up. We start to create other systems within ourselves. And before long, all we have is a labyrinth of all kinds of things that aren't really working with our systems. Lights going off everywhere. Lights start to go off everywhere. Systems that rely on each other start to fail. So we start to lose physical health. We start to lose mental health. We become emotionally not connected to ourselves. And instead of being able to know that we're these powerful beings that can work through all kinds of stuff, we start to get very overwhelmed by one thing or two things or even
moment to moment, because now it's like pushing all those emotions into a box that you haven't really focused on because, well, it's inside a box and now it's over spilling over and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do with all these emotions. They're coming over and everything's triggering. Every moment's triggering. Everything is starting to become this one big ball of fiery emotion. And you're like, I don't know what to do. Those are the moments when your body starts to recognize, hey, this is too much. We've been doing this for too long. We've been pushing it down for so long. Now we need to pay attention and fix some things that are not working. Otherwise, we're going to create some things like he was talking about in our body, diseases, cancers, all these different types of ailments that are going to cause us problems. They may be small at first, but grow to be bigger.
so knowing everything that I knew, but theta healing had already been started and become a part of things, and this was one of the moments I was running away from some of the things that I was supposed to do. When I was with that person, I had a choice, right? Their $20 a month meant $300 in my pocket, 300 extra dollars. And that was a lot, 98 especially. And it solved a lot of problems in my life. But it wasn't really me. Okay, I'm not a person that's motivated by that energy. I'm not a person that knows what's going to move to that pressure constantly. We take care of those things, but there was a choice energetically. So I grabbed their other vacuum and I did the exact same thing. I said, give me 20 minutes of your time. And I did the exact same thing with their vacuum as I had with this one vacuum. I did the same. Let me put a cloth here. Let me show you that there's dust mites. Because I knew that a vacuum pulls and cleans dirt and pulls these little things from our house. And even the cheapest vacuum is going to have some of the same effect as the most expensive. Is it the same level? No. But did this person, this family, need to feel like they had no protection and they weren't cleaning their home unless they bought this really expensive vacuum? And the answer was no, they didn't. Not at the cost of the personal gain. And what was happening was I felt like that's not what I was supposed to do. And I had a choice. Right? And when we have those feelings in our life, we have choices. We don't always see, is there a way that I can have my choice? And is there a way that this person can have their choice? And is there a way that that even benefits other people's choices?
Yes, absolutely. There's always that choice.
Instead, we're often taught there's only one. This is the exact way to do it.
Or that those things that are coming up on epigenetics from your ancestors, they come up and they go, yep, this is the way it has to be because we've been solving these problems this way for all this time. Pass it down to you and say, you should do it too.
And then we just do. Our subconscious spends so much time giving us clues as to what it's taken care of in every second, and we ignore them and let our creation, our power, our movement through life belong to someone else entirely. And then,
Sorry.
oh, no, go
I
ahead.
remember when we were young, I was told this story about the ham. I was like, the ham, what does this have to do with anything? There's a story about this family, we'll just say, that had this ham. They would have it every holiday. And what they would do is that they would cut off the end of the ham and they would stick it in the oven. And one day they asked, "Why on earth did you cut off the end of the ham? The end of, I mean, the ham's only so big, and you cut off the end of it. Why are you cutting off the end of the ham?" So they asked their mom, "Why are you cutting off the end?" She said, "I don't know. My mom always did it, so I did it too." So they asked their grandma, "Why on earth are you cutting off all this ham? You know, this could, we could still be eating this." She said, "I don't know. I never thought about that." And then she said, "I went back and when I was young, and I remember watching my mom cut off the ham. And when we were young, we had these really tiny ovens. And these ovens only let us put so much ham inside the oven. So we had to cut it off, put it in the pan, and be able to make it so that it would fit." That's kind of the exact same thing as when we're passing down things of beliefs, understanding, generational anything that we take on, even cutting off the ham and putting it in the oven when it doesn't need to be, and just going, "Yeah, it's fine." Because that's what my mom did, and that's what my mom's did. And my mom's mom did that. And not asking questions as to why. Why do we have this? And do we really want to keep cutting off the ham in order to keep on that generational line, either the closeness or doing something that we never even recognized we were doing in the first place and wasting the ham?
So we move in this different situation, we move in these moments, we move to all these programs, and we don't take a look at why our energy moves this way and clear how our energy moves this way. And the process of understanding ourselves is not necessarily one that is slow, but it's one that we're learning how to do every day. Okay? Every day you do belief work, whether you learn theta healing and you learn how to dig and do it faster, you're doing belief work, right? You're making decisions about what you believe in this world, and those things are happening right this second, right? They happen when you turn on your camera and type your name in. How do you want your name to look? You didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it. Maybe you typed it before, but you did it. You interacted. That's what a belief is, right? This is what I would like to appear. This is how I want to share it. Now, if you take a look at that and you feel the urge to change it, you're doing belief work.
Just a slow way of belief work, which is fine, works. But thank goodness we have theta healing that we can do it faster.
Yeah, you're looking at it and going, what do I want to create? How do I want to create it? What are the steps to make changes? And then you're deciding right then and there, does it have to be this super long process? How long is this going to take? Is it worth it? And we're doing that with all kinds of information around us all the time. As we move forward in our journey, we should listen to ourselves. Listen to ourselves. We have all the clues.
Yep, emotions are one of the biggest clues that really give you an indication of what's going on inside you.
And instead of turning it off, we should turn it on and understand how to start to use them in every moment, right? Every emotion has its time and its place. And if you're feeling it, there's a way to use it. Look at anger, right? Anger gets a
Bad rap.
Yeah, it does. It gets a bad rap because we use it sometimes in a not very good way.
And destruction, where it causes so much problems and rifts with people that in yourself that it no longer is given a good rap. But it can be a really good thing to use and as an indication. As you've probably heard Josh say before, he uses anger in a way that shows him that, hey, I may need some more energy, because it can create energy within the body.
Or sometimes I'll use anger because that is the preferred emotional communication channel of the group of people you're talking to, and it's what they're listening to.
And that's true too.
Which is very, very funny. It's very, very funny because they have grown up in anger. They don't know how to hear anything but anger. So in order to get their attention, you got to bring up a little bit of anger, right? And I can't tell you the number of times in this world where people come up and go, "I'm sorry I made you angry," or "I'm sorry this happened." And we respond by saying, not angry. Wasn't even angry then. Not even a little, right? Just that tone, that vibration, or that energy that you feel is anger seems to be the only thing you listen to. Would you like to work on it? Right? Would you like to change that? If you don't change it and you want just anger, then that's okay. Don't expect us to join you all the time. You know, we made that bridge once just to illustrate that that's how you listen and then tell you there's another way. But we weren't, for us, we had to conjure it up a little. And to be like, okay, I'm not really angry like that, but let me try to interpret into their language so that it can be heard. That's what you're doing. You're doing that everywhere. With all kinds of molecules and all kinds of things you're interacting with. You're interacting with a world of molecules right now by breathing in, right? You're breathing in. What emotion are you breathing in with?
Let's say that you're cooking. If you're cooking food and you have some sort of emotion and all of a sudden something triggers you and it reminds you of a time and place and you get really angry, well, now that is being felt in your food. So when you cook, you're angry and you're doing whatever it is and you're chopping it up or grilling up meat, whatever. All of a sudden, when you have all that, it just is reflecting into it and it's taking it on. And when you eat it later, haven't you ever gone to a place and you're like, gosh, this food just normally it tastes so good. I can usually just feel the love in it, but today it just doesn't seem all that happy. I'm not sure why. It's usually the person that has been dealing with the food had emotions, and we can pick up on it really, really easily. Same with when you go sit on a bench, you can pick up on the emotions the person that was sitting on that chair or wherever felt before. Same thing. We can always pick up the emotional responses that are being sent out all the time.
This is true. So as you're gonna go forward in your journey and you're doing these things, you can decide how quickly you do. With us, we want to do and learn and grow and connect to ourselves and no longer be limited. Right? The faster you start to find energetic alignment and understanding, the more you learn you have control of your physical sense and connection to the world around you, the more you control how healthy that is and the things that go on in your interaction, everything. And you can start to be abundant, 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 abundant. And that's more than just money, okay? Back to that moment where it was like $20 a month for that person, but $300 in my pocket. That's a pressure that we're feeling that's creating certain emotions. The ability to see beyond and know that your actions can have a longer term effect and that you can build towards something else is more important than we realize. Every action you have is in this moment, yes, but it's also building towards the next one. And then it's building towards the next one. The door you want to open, the door you're manifesting for, is usually something that's right there next to what you're creating right now. You wouldn't feel it as a possibility if it wasn't close to you. That's the way our cells work. We pick up on everything, and then we get an understanding that it can be created. Setting aside those pressures and moving to the ones that let us create them in the best vibration is what we can and should probably do on a daily basis. And that includes protecting the people that love and protecting ourselves and growing in that connection of understanding. There's a time to be a guide. There's a time to be a protector. There's a time to move in different ways. You don't know if you're doing that in their lens unless you understand their emotions. And you can't understand their emotions and their connection if you don't understand your emotions and your connection to yourself, right? So you can't see their lens. If you can't see their lens, you don't know if you're helping or hurting or anything in between. You're just giving out information and hoping for the best, which could work for some people, doesn't work for a lot of people. So on your journey, you should take a look at it. You should see what's going on. Ask yourself what you feel. We do a lot of belief work and we test things. You want to maximize belief work? Go beyond the word. Look at the feeling of a sentence. If you've ever felt in a single sentence, a word makes you go, "Oh, I hope I don't have that." You have something there to work with.
There is a belief under that that's definitely causing that feeling.
And you got the exact signal from yourself that said, "Yes, you should fix this," and instead said, "No,
Nah.
I hope I don't have that because that would be bad," right? What if somebody finds out I have it like that? Or what if that's the way that I really am? All these pressures are being felt. Not the way to approach every moment of our life, because once we see that, we know that in every situation, every moment, this moment, you've had a zillion feelings come up. a different set of emotions. All right. If you got bored because I was talking too much, it's a thing. It happens. I understand. There's a reason behind it. What's that reason? Are you comfortable with that reason? Was it you? Or was it just because?
The genetic line, if you heard the male voice, it caused some sort of things that made it so that there were extra beliefs underneath it that said, no, I can't hear it, la, 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 la. Or is it something else?
All right, we're gonna give you guys a few downloads. We're gonna download what it feels like to know yourself, the connection of how you move through this journey, understanding the signals of your subconscious to be able to move forward in alignment with yourself and the world around.
You can recognize your emotional responses and the vibration of which your body carries with those emotions as a way and a signal for you to be able to change and move forward on your journey as a way to manifest the things in your life so that you can bring them into your life now. If you like this, say yes. Push them up. Whatever. Send them your way. Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
Thank you so much, Josh and Raina. Can we all take a photo together, please? Can I invite everyone to turn on their cameras?
That's it.
Everyone looks definitely supercharged now from those great downloads. All right, got them all.
Those are the best.